on the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our family and our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again.
Welcome to our monthly AAA podcast, Affinity Allie and Annette on the road to good storytelling with your hosts, Allie Spooner and moi.
I enjoy reading short stories, but I tell you, I am terrible at writing them. So I look forward to our conversations today. We meet, we invite guests every month to talk to us, and I hope you will enjoy speaking with Karen and Annette today. And we appreciate your support in our podcast. And we invite you to visit Affinity Rainbow Publications to check out our books.
So this month, we're going to be talking about short story anthologies and collections. And I'm very excited to talk with Karen because I actually didn't know the difference between an anthology and a short story collection. And she's gonna enlighten us on those differences. So, and I'm hoping that she's also going to talk about her latest compilation, Frosting on the Cake 3. I'm kind of excited to hear about that.
All right. So, following our podcast, we'll upload to a newly created YouTube channel and hope you consider subscribing so you never miss a future podcast.
I have the absolute pleasure of introducing Karen, who's an icon in the sapphic fiction industry. Karen Kallmacher's devotion to lesbian fiction began after the film Desert Hearts led her to the library and the card catalog subject index lesbians-fiction. Her novels include multiple Goldie and Lammy Award winners. Best-selling works include Cowboys and Kisses, Captain of Industry, and Painted Moon, and span sapphic romance, lesbian erotica, and lesbian science fiction/fantasy. Regardless of genre, women are the heroes of their own lives in every story. Many of Karen's 30-plus novels over 30-plus years have been translated into other languages and professionally performed for audio. More than 6 dozen short stories and novellas have appeared in anthologies and collections from multiple publishers. Her writing career began in 1989 with Naiad Press. Current novels are published with Bella Books and shorter works under her own imprint, Romance and Chocolate Ink. She is a Stonewall National Museum, Archives and Library Distinguished Author, and a Goldie Crown Literary Society trailblazer. A native of California, Karen lives near San Francisco. She and her wife celebrate 50 years of togetherness next year and are the mothers of 2 exceptional kids, now all grown up. She blogs regularly at Romance and Chocolate and is quite pleased to be descended from Lady Godiva. What a great intro.
All right. That is a great intro. All right. So
it's mostly true, too. Yeah.
Oh, well, obviously, you're an icon, trailblazer, right. So many things.
Absolutely. So without further ado, Karen, if you're ready, take it away.
I am ready. I'm going to read from, as Annette said, Frosting on the Cake 3, which is subtitled Still Crazy After All These Years, and it's been a lot of years. And this short story is called Kindling, which catches up with the characters from my novel Above Temptation. It's September, and it's 15 years after the close of the novel. Tam tried not to spill any of her hot coffee as she hurried to the cabin's ground floor bay window. She wasn't entirely successful, but she didn't want to miss it. The moment that she'd surfaced out of an exhausted sleep, she'd realized what the steady crunch thunk had to be. Kip was chopping wood, and a lovely sight it was. In spite of the frosty late September temperatures of the deep forest off Puget Sound, Kip wore a tank top and jeans. Her petite frame was a study in muscles and circular motion as she lifted the axe, arced it on her right side around her calf, hip, shoulder, overhead, and then down. Log split with a satisfying crack. Energy, purpose, drive. That was Kip in a nutshell. After leaving behind the 90-degree weather in Seattle just across the Sound, the 50-degree chill was proving a shock to Tam's system. Yet there was Kip, breath misting in the air as she worked, reveling in it. The cabin's remote location in the lee of the Olympic Mountains was its biggest appeal, especially when they were both so badly in need of a break. A bruising summer and fall of endless travel and stress had dealt them nonstop setbacks and challenges. For Tam, it was coping badly with a legal system that could no longer be counted on as an ally in prosecuting financial fraud. Last week, she'd run into Mercedes Houston, her former assistant, and now Sterling Fraud Investigations VP of Operations. It had been some time since their paths had overlapped. Mercedes had lured Tam to her nearby office with the promise of genuine Kona coffee. Her office door had scarcely closed before Mercedes picked up their last conversation as if it had never ended. When are you going to get a life? How much weight have you lost? What do you think is going to happen if you take a real vacation, a long vacation? Tam had made the usual excuses, said yes, but several times, and finally yielded up a weak-ass promise that she'd try. Sure. If she took a real vacation, there'd be one less voice pushing back against the unraveling judicial system that preferred to fine companies for fraud instead of jailing the people who'd made the fraudulent decisions. It was harder than ever to get convictions and damage payouts that would deter future repeating behavior. Openly shop your case to a judge who thought wealth was the same as the law, delay every possible step of the way, and walk free when prosecutors simply couldn't keep going. Kip's axe continued to rise and fall with satisfying results. Tam supposed she ought to get dressed and offer to stack the wood. Later, when her working woman came in, having fresh coffee or something to eat, maybe that would be better. Kip leaned on the axe and glanced back at the cabin. Tam waved and wasn't sure Kip could see her until Kip blew back a kiss. With a deep breath, she let all her love for Kip well up. No reason to put it away to focus on work. They didn't have to go back across the Sound until tomorrow night. With that thought, something in her chest twisted. She winced and forced herself to take a very deep breath. The pleasure of the morning fled, and the thought echoed in her head, the one she'd been ignoring for far too long. Do the math. By tomorrow night, they'd have spent 48 hours at the cabin. Add 3-hour drives on each end. 54 hours together. Just them. 54 hours was the most continuous time they'd spent together over the past 11 months. She didn't want to do the math. The math sucked.
That's great. That's wonderful.
That sounds like a great story.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Like I said, I'm anxious to hear all about all of your stories in Frosting on the Cake 3. It's such a wonderful concept that I blatantly stole.
All right. So thank you for the lovely reading. Miss Annette, are you ready to do yours?
I am. And like I said, I blatantly stole the idea from Karen. After I saw her very first Frosting on the Cake, I thought, what a great idea to take a bunch of short stories. And I titled mine a little more risque. Mine's Cherry on the Top. So, but kind of the same theme. Anyways, I'm going to read from, I initially was going to read from a story called Rainstorm, but it's kind of sad, and I didn't want to be sad with all the stuff going on in the world. I wanted something more fun and happy. So I'm going to read from a short story that is a Halloween story, but it combines 3 of my books. It brings characters together from the book Addict series, and then the organization universe, and then also from my very first book, Love Forever, Live Forever. And it's called Witches, Vampires, and Shifters. Oh my. And it has my favorite character, Val, in it from the organization, because she's such a badass. With her hip resting against the kitchen counter, Val waited patiently for the tiny human to settle on the chair. When her small legs began to swing, Val knew her daughter was ready to start the day. Anticipating the first question, she looked down. Pepper was entirely too advanced for her age, and it didn't help that brilliant women surrounded her. However, Val was not one of them. An unhealthy breakfast was their ritual, something that had started in her second year. Breakfast with Mama V, while Mama G slept in. Even after Gina had chastised her for the other tradition of ice cream on holiday breakfasts, sleeping in had won out. Can we have ice cream for breakfast tomorrow? Pepper looked at Val through her long lashes. With her pale gray eyes and dark curls, she would indeed develop into a beauty that would challenge Val's overprotective side. At only 6, she was already charming everyone around her, including Val. The fact that Pepper had gotten her pale gray eyes from her father, which had never affected Gina's love for her daughter, was a testament to her wife's strength. Gina never let that distinctive feature remind her of the fateful night her ex-husband brutally assaulted her, which resulted in Pepper's conception. Instead, when the color of Pepper's eyes became apparent, Gina exclaimed, "Oh, Val, she has your eyes. I was hoping they would develop the same shade as yours." Val knew this was Gina's way of making Val feel as though she was every bit a part of the new life, regardless of biology. And it did. "Pepper, you know the deal we made with Mommy G, only on holidays." Val allowed herself to smile at her daughter. None of her fellow agents or those pesky witches and magicians were around to tease her when she was just the two of them. She had a reputation to maintain. People were comfortable knowing that Val, the badass, was protecting them. And if they saw her softer side, they might feel less inclined to go about their business as if nobody was out to get them. "Halloween is a holiday." Pepper crossed her arms and pushed her lips out. "Who told you that? You know we only count the major holidays, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, and the 4th of July, when everyone celebrates." "That was the deal. Mama G will murder me if I let you expand the days." "She will not. She loves you and you love me. Can Aunt Amara take me trick-or-treating tomorrow?" Val frowned. "Why? You don't want me to take you?" "I want you to come too, but Aunt Tony says Aunt Amara is a real witch, so she'll know the lay of the land." "What's lay of the land mean, Mama V?" Pepper tilted her head. "Lay of the land is like when I scope out one of those bad man warehouses to find their strong and weak points." Val never thought twice about explaining what she and the other agents did to keep the world safe. Pepper continued her argument. "You always want to stay here in the compound, and I'm old enough to go outside now. You promised to take me outside to the new neighborhood a few miles from the cabin when I got bigger. Those houses are enormous. I bet they have good candy." "We'll see." "And that's not true. Remember when your Mama G brought you to California and we went to the zoo and Disneyland?" "Big effing deal," Pepper pouted. "That was 2 trips out of my whole life." Val had to hold back the laugh. She really needed to talk to Gina about changing schools. Pepper was getting a mouth on her. Val was sure she had learned that in school. "Pepper, language." "I didn't say the bad word, not like you who says the bad word all the time," Pepper defended. Val sighed. "The cabin above our compound helps protect our location. You know that. If we venture out too far, it's dangerous. Amara might be a real witch, but she's also a big pain in my pop." Okay, that was witches, vampires, and shifters, and the pop was
Halloween
Amara.
is a major holiday. I'm sorry. I'm totally with Pepper on that. Completely.
But I had, I had to do a little conflict there so that she wouldn't always get
Yeah.
what she wanted. But I agree with you. I think always holiday too.
You know, and you want to hit the houses that might have full-size candy bars because that is living large.
That's
And when you got a full-size Snickers, oh, you could
right.
barter that for like, 15 pixie
Yeah.
sticks. It was pretty cool.
So Karen,
And you can't blame her for arguing for ice cream on breakfast, you know?
I know, I know,
Yeah.
I know, I was actually with her, and of course, as the story goes on, Val gives in because she always gives in to her daughter anyway. She's one of those that's, the big bad assassin, but she has this really big
Little
soft
mush
heart
ball.
for
Yeah.
her wife and her daughter. Yeah.